Hey everyone, welcome back, and I've kind of finished up my wrap of my vehicle. Now, you might have noticed that my car wheels are hollow, and that's because I essentially cut out that part of the mesh. So if I show you at the top, if I press space and show you my vehicle, it's got these like big holes in it. And the reason it has those big holes is because I couldn't move the mesh in a way so that it would essentially blend with the vehicle nicely, so I had to delete the faces. Now, to delete the face of something, you just have to hold the right click, go over to face mode, and then you could select the individual faces. So if I didn't want these faces over here, I'd select them, and then I'd press the delete key. And it deletes all the faces, but it leaves the rest over there. So that's essentially what I did for the wheels. I selected the majority of the faces and I deleted them, and then I kind of just used the remaining faces and I kind of then built around it. Okay, I had to do the same for the top here because I had too many faces, and then the same for the bottom. But eventually I was able to sculpt that all together and end up with this result. So this doesn't look terrible, but it definitely, with those holes in it, doesn't look good. So let's go ahead and fill those up, and it's actually pretty quick to fix that. All you need to do is head over to your mesh tool over here, and then there's an option called fill hole. And if you have the polygon selected like I do and you click that, it should automatically fill it in. So let me go back to object mode because I think it wasn't on object mode. Click on that, go to fill hole, and then it fills it in. And you might be, well, what about the back wheels? But if I turn it to the back, you're going to notice that that's also kind of blended in together. Okay, so that's actually looking pretty good. Now at the start, we grabbed two images. So we did grab one of the side view, but we also grabbed one of the front view. So let's go ahead and use that front view image now. Go ahead to your whatever your front view is, and in my case it's my side, and I'm going to use my view and image plane to import that image that I grabbed earlier. So I got it and I dropped it in there, and of course it doesn't actually start at the start of the vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and move it to, let me move it to the back actually. So I'm going to move it to the back, but that's kind of poses a problem because the image is in the back, and I'm going to adjust the panels. So I'm going to go to my panels, and let's go ahead, and if that's my side, let's get a new one. Let's try the, let's go to the back. Okay, so if that's the back, kind of running through these, but it's not the back then. What about the right? Okay, the right was, I guess, where I was at before. So then it's the left. Perfect. Okay, so there's the left, there's the vehicle. I'm going to adjust the image in the background just a little bit. Go to my scaling option, and I'm doing that because I want the polygon I made to fit the vehicle. Okay, so if it's not quite fitting, I think about there would be fine. Now I'm going to select that and move it. Okay, so that's pretty close. And now we can go ahead and use the scale key. And we're not going to grab the center this time. We want to scale this horizontally because we want it to essentially match. So I'm going to adjust it just slightly like so. And now that I've adjusted it slightly, you can tell that it doesn't quite, fit everything well. So if you're like, well, what do we do then? Well, you probably guessed it, but we got to insert a few more edge loops to this and then kind of adjust it so that it matches the vehicle's front view. So let's go ahead and do that. Insert some edge loops. Definitely I'm going to have a couple more over here. And actually go ahead and undo that. So do Control Z a few times, because let's go ahead and turn on symmetry. That's going to make it a lot easier to work with. And go over to Object Z in my case. And that's going to help because when we insert those edge loops and we click on one side, it will automatically match it on the other. So in reality, now we only need to focus on one side and just make this work with one side of the vehicle, and then it should hopefully work with the other. Okay, so I think that's probably as good as we're going to get it. I'm going to go over to vertex mode and let's see how this works out. So make sure your select tool's on, make sure vertex is on, and then select some of your vertexes, and you can see right away when we move one side of the vehicle, the other kind of reacts to it. So we're going to do our best to blend this to the vehicle. I think I'm going to throw in one more edge loop right over there. Just to capture the shape a little bit better. Doesn't have to be perfect, but the more detail we get, the better it's going to look in our game. And you know, we want to improve with this tool, so yeah. Oh, that's another thing. If we're going to get those lights, we'll probably have to capture them later. Okay, I can't really go very far with that, so let's add in some more edge loops. One there, probably one over here or so. Oof. We're getting a lot of resistance, a lot of overlap. I'm trying to not overdo it, but I don't really have a choice. So you can definitely tell based on what I move that there's resistance over here. I could try to extrude it, but at this point I've kind of overcommitted. So let's take a look how it looks. Actually, that looks really good. But definitely some resistance to it. So what we can do, let me go ahead, switch back to face mode, select these. I'm going to delete these faces off of it, and these, try to kind of smooth it out. These imperfections on the bottom here, select those, delete them, select these two faces, delete them. It's hard to see, but there's a couple there. These stragglers over there, delete those. Okay, and I'm just deleting those because I can always rebuild those afterwards. So I'm not like too concerned. I just don't want to end up with a really messed up looking car, especially now that I put in a lot of time into it. So let's go ahead, delete these faces, delete these ones as well. Okay, and push these ones here. Oops, go back to vertex mode. Just down slightly. Okay, so that's looking pretty smooth right now. Let's go ahead, take a look at what happened. Okay, so it looks like I destroyed the bottom of my car. I might undo that. Let's go ahead and do a quick fill. Okay, so make sure you're in object mode. Mesh, fill hole. Definitely did, but I think I feel like I damaged it too much. So I'm going to undo it. So just do Control Z until you're back at a part where you feel comfortable. So, you know, there is definitely probably went too far with that. Okay. Okay. So I'm probably not going to delete those because if I do, I'll just destroy my entire vehicle. So I'm going to work with it as best I can. Let's just try to power through this. Okay. And I mean, you could probably zoom in and really try to smooth this out. So do the best you can. And yeah, it's gonna look something like that. Okay, so that looks pretty good in all honesty. And you can always smooth it out by pressing 3. So that's really what it looks like. right now, which it's definitely not a Subaru Impreza, but it's a pretty smooth chassis. Okay. Okay, so we're going to try to add a little bit more detail to this in the next video. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you then. Peace.